Hello everyone and welcome to another tier list video. It's been a little while since my last one, so I'm sorry this one's a bit late, but I'm finally here recording it, and today we're going to be ranking every album and mixtape by The Weeknd. This will be a pretty interesting one. I've been trying to explore a lot of different genres with these tier lists. You know, so far we've done Kanye, Kendrick, Brockhampton, Radiohead, and now we're doing The Weeknd. And you know, I think he has a really amazing discography. There's a couple albums that I'm not crazy on, but we'll get into that as the video goes on. So as usual, I'm going to rank these going in chronological order and explain my reasoning and give some favorite tracks, stuff like that. So obviously, starting with the first mixtape in the initial mixtape trilogy that he had, House of Balloons. And out of the trilogy, this is my favorite one. I don't know if my opinion on the trilogy is controversial, but you'll see as the video goes on. But anyway, I think House of Balloons being the favorite is probably most people's take with the trilogy, and it's for pretty good reason. I don't think there's a single bad song on here. To be fair, I don't think there's a single bad song on any of the trilogy mixtapes, but with an album like this, with songs like the title track, House of Balloons / Glass Table Girls, High for This, Wicked Games, The Party and the After Party, Loft Music. It's only 9 songs, and all 9 songs are amazing. So it's an incredible mixtape, just this amazing, vibey, dark R&B sound that he really pioneered. And, you know, he was a nobody before he made this mixtape, and it really kind of propelled him immediately, and just making this as your debut project is pretty crazy, and it's an instant S tier for me. I think there's one project that beats it, and we'll get to that later, but it's one of his best. So then we're moving on to the second mixtape in the original mixtape trilogy, which is Thursday. And for me, this is my second favorite of the trilogy. I know a lot of people have Echoes of Silence above this one, but I think Echoes of Silence has a very specific sound for me. It's probably the darkest sounding tape out of all 3, and I do really like it, but we'll get to that in a sec. But for me, Thursday really continues the sound on House of Balloons, with songs like Life of the Party, once again the title track, both parts of The Birds, I think Rolling Stone as well. It's a great mixtape. Doesn't quite reach the same level as House of Balloons for me, and so I'm going to put it in A tier. I'm pretty confident with that pick right there. And then we get to Echoes of Silence. Like I said, Echoes of Silence probably my least favorite in the trilogy. I still really like it. I still think it is a very dark, foreboding mixtape, and the sound of it is, like I said, the darkest out of all the mixtapes in the trilogy. I love the title track. I love Initiation. That's probably one of his darkest songs. EXO / The Host. The cover of Dirty Diana on here is pretty good. Montreal Outside. It's a good mixtape, but I like the other 2 more. But it's still gonna go in A tier, just below Thursday for me for now. Then we have his debut album, Kissland. Kissland is alright. It kind of just continues the same sounds that are found on the mixtape trilogy, and for me, it doesn't quite reach the same level as the mixtape trilogy. It's kind of too I don't know, it feels like he's taking the same sound and playing it a bit safe. It doesn't quite match the mixtapes for me, so I'm gonna probably put it in B tier. I should give ratings. I always give ratings, my bad. So House of Balloons 9 out of 10, both of these 8 out of 10. Kissland is more like a solid 7, but like a high 7. Okay, and then we have Beauty Behind the Madness. So obviously this is the album that really blew him up in the mainstream, and for good reason. There's some hits on this, but I have a controversial opinion on this album. I don't really like it that much. I think it plays when I said Kissland plays things a bit safe compared to the mixtape trilogy, this thing really plays it safe. I mean, it's very pop influenced R&B sound, but I think The Weeknd's at his best when he's fully committing to pop or when he's fully committing to R&B, and this album feels way too in the middle of that. Obviously there's some amazing tracks: The Hills, Can't Feel My Face, Tell Your Friends, Real Life, Often. But I think outside of the hits, this album doesn't really do much for me, which is why I'm going to put it in C tier. I'd say it's a 5 or 6 out of 10. Probably a 6. And then Starboy, and people are going to really hate me for this because this is my least favorite Weeknd album. It's not even necessarily that it's that different from Beauty Behind the Madness for me. The problem with this album for me is that it feels bloated, and it feels like there's a lot of tracks that don't need to be there and aren't really serving much purpose, and which is why I'm not a huge fan of it. There's still some songs I love. Obviously the title track, Full Salam, is a really cool song. I know it gets a lot of hate, but I like that. Sidewalks with Kendrick Lamar, Stargirl interlude with Lana Del Rey, Die For You, I Feel It Coming. Actually, I Feel It Coming with Daft Punk is one of my favorite Weeknd songs, just flat out. I love that track. But like I said, overall, I'm not a huge fan of Starboy. I think it could have been executed in a much better way. So it's going to go in C, just below Beauty Behind the Madness. And if I was going to rate Starboy, I'd probably say like 5 out of 10, low 6. I don't know, it just doesn't do much for me. Anyway, let's move on. We have his 2018 EP, My Dear Melancholy. You know, it's a little 6-track EP, but obviously it's often included in rankings because it is a pretty cool project. And this is what I was saying earlier, is when The Weeknd wants to commit to R&B or pop, he does it well. And my problem with these two projects is they feel like they're trying to be an in-between. But I think this album really commits back to that darker R&B sound he had on the original trilogy mixtapes. And it makes it a really enjoyable and amazing project that I get a lot out of compared to these two albums. You know, if I had to name some favorite tracks, Call Out My Name, I Was Never There and Hurt You, both with Gus Affelstein, who I fucking love. He's an amazing producer. I mean, this guy does not miss, and he did an amazing job on the songs he worked on this project. It doesn't quite beat Kissland for me. I'm going to put it in B tier. It's another 7 out of 10, I would say. But, you know, overall, very solid album. Then we come to 2020 After Hours, and this is probably my favorite project by The Weeknd. I mean, I don't think he's tops this for me. It's just such a well-rounded and amazing album. And, you know, I was saying that he doesn't work well with blending his two genres, but I think this is the one time that it really did work. I mean, obviously this album's more pop influenced than R&B influenced, but the R&B influence is still there and that darker sound. But you know, the pop tracks like Heartless, Hardest to Love, Blinding Lights, In Your Eyes, Save Your Tears are all amazing. And then the kind of the more low-key songs that less people talk about but like are still really amazing, like Snow Child, Escape from LA, and then obviously the title track as well. The title track from this album might just be my favorite song by The Weeknd. It is stunning. The production is crazy, and the production is amazing across this whole album. It's an easy like 9 out of 10, possibly a 10, and I think it just edges House of Balloons for me, honestly. That might be a bold take, but it is a great album. And then we have his album from this year, Dawn FM, which is, you know, it takes some of the 80s pop influences that were really coming through on After Hours and just makes a whole project out of it, and it's amazing. This is one of my favorite pop albums so far this decade, and it just has such a massive amount of really solid tracks. You know, like Gasoline, How Do I Make You Love Me, Take My Breath, the single, obviously, Sacrifice, Out of Time is a beautiful and smooth track. Best Friends is one of my favorites, which I don't know if many people have that as one of their favorites, but it really kind of switches things up, and I really like how kind of dramatic the synths are on there. And I really just love this whole album, and I think it's really a really well put together and constructed project, and an easily 8 out of 10, and I would say it edges these two mixtapes for me, goes in the top of the A tier. And yeah, I guess that's my whole Weeknd tier list. I'm sure I upset a lot of fans by doing this because I know these two are fan favorites, but this is my tier list. Tell me how much you hate me in the comments. Go ahead, I can take it. And I'll have more tier list content to come in the future. But more importantly, and I really want to announce this and I want to stress this because I have a top 10 albums of the year list video coming out sometime in the coming weeks, and I'm putting a lot of work into it. So when it does drop, please do watch it because it's going to be a pretty cool video, and I hope you guys like it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like it, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, blah blah blah. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.